the first thing I talked to Styles about was basically about the election that at that point had just gone down. So here's our chat with the ghost, Styles P. Since the election just happened, right? Yeah. You had that line on the song you did with Pharaoh, where you said, voted for, projects feeling like lab rats, voted for Obama, hoping he wouldn't have that. Very hopeful thing, right?
Yeah.
About him. So now that his first term is over and he was reelected and you're looking back on it, what are your thoughts?
He had a lot to work with. I'm glad he won this election. I went out and vote. I'm glad he won. And mainly because I feel like Republicans represent rich people, Democrats represent middle class people, and no one really represents poor people.
Right.
So Democrats are the closest to poor people.
You got, yeah.
So I try to keep it Democrat. I think he inherited a lot of when he became president. He inherited a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And I just tend to think like with me, like Clinton, cool, relaxed guy, played the sax, listens to jazz. You know what I'm saying? No war. You feel like you're not gonna get a war with Democrats. It feels like Republicans, more money definitely flows through the country. You know what I'm saying? But I personally feel like more money comes in, more drugs get sold, and it's a higher crime rate, and it's a higher conviction rate.
Yeah.
I mean, the same shit happens under Democrats too, don't get me wrong. Sure. I just feel like it's higher with Republicans, you know what I mean? And then I also feel like war is never necessary. You know what I mean? I feel war is a way for the countries, governments, politicians to make money. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's no need for war ever, really. And practically never.
Yeah.
Not gonna say never, because some situations you never know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But most of the time it seems like things could be resolved, but it's on a bigger level. And then I kind of think, sometimes I actually think I don't know if my vote counts. I really don't, to be honest with you, or if anyone's vote counts.
Right.
But I know it's important for the government to know that we give a fuck about voting, whether it's for Obama or Romney, Democrat or Republican. I think it's just important for them to know that people from all races, all genres, everywhere give a fuck about what's going on with the government. And I think that's the most important thing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I think I think a lot of people, with Obama being black is definitely part of it. But before a lot of people even knew about Obama. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or we heard him, seen him on Oprah, heard about his books, or anything. Seriously, like if you went in a hood barbershop, you would hear like, fuck Bush, like, get the soldiers home. And that meant a lot if you could be sitting in the ghetto somewhere in the barbershop and hear politics. And I've been in the barbershop for most of my life, and you really don't hear politics no more. So that just showed that even fuck hip-hop as young people, whether it be white, black, Spanish, that young people were paying attention to what was going on with politics, which means a lot, because when I was young, I really didn't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, it meant something, but it didn't mean too much. Like, you know what I mean? So I think with just the point of the younger generation realizing, hey, like, why we got all these troops? Why we spending all this money? Why are we invading these countries when we have our own problems? I thought that was important for mankind. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that made it possible for Obama to get elected. Or if not Obama, if Hillary would have won, I think Hillary would have got elected. Yeah. I think it's time for change, and it's time for change in society. And racism will always live. Because what people don't tend to know is white people are racist against white people, black people are racist against black people, Spanish people are racist against Spanish people. You know what I mean? Like, you go back to the days, you'll hear an Italian guy go, fuck the Irish guy, fuck the Jew, vice versa. You'll hear African or Jamaican doesn't fuck with the African American, black as much. You hear Puerto Rican say fuck the Dominican. So I think racism will always be here, but I think we just, as people, have to get it to a point where it comes important to what's important to a man and his family as a man more than anything, and that means people should go out and vote because it really matters.
Yeah.
Like you understand what I'm saying? Because realistically, Obama wouldn't be president if it still wasn't for white people. Because it took a certain amount of white people to go, hey, I'm gonna go vote for him, and then even those who didn't the second time, or that did, it was needed. So it's a needed thing, and then hopefully this will mean something when there isn't a black president in the election. If it's two whites, or white Spanish, white female, whatever, that people take interest in voting for the policy that works for them, not just.
You said something. You said something interesting there a minute ago, kind of at the beginning of that, about. You said, "Oh, I think more drugs came into the country under the Republican leadership."
Yeah,
it reminded me of Reagan. Reminded me of the crack epidemic, because you had that line. You said in good times, from the era, where it caused terror over guns and crack.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about something with that line. I was thinking about so many artists in your generation. The crack epidemic was this really formative experience. Yeah. You have a whole generation of artists now where that's not true. And I was wondering what you thought, kind of looking at people where this was no longer like a central experience in their art.
I mean, I think it's great. You know what I mean? First and foremost, I think it's great. But at the same time, you see different things. I think it's great that didn't happen, but I think from them not having that or having that experience leads them to be so willing to take a Molly or X or whatever this other shit that they take. Now I think you have more people actually on drugs than that sell drugs. Like, you understand what I'm saying? So it's like, it's great that they have to go through that experience, but now you have a whole, you can tell a young hip hop generation 10 years ago to do a drug that was anything other than weed or alcohol. Right. Until you get the fuck out of here, you're fucking out.
Right.
Now
you've seen everything destroyed.
You've seen everything be destroyed by that.
Yeah.
Now you have a young generation that didn't see that things being destroyed, but are destroying themselves because they've never seen anything destroyed before. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a double-edged sword. It's like a flip side of the coin. Yeah. Like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of both ways, because really, like, if you look at younger hip hop right now, it's like, I don't think you would have been able to give me on any of my friends anything that wasn't in a bag and smelled like a plant. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And it'd be cool, but it's a different time now.
Yeah. On that same note, on Feelings Gone, you had that line about you sort of get at people for thinking the pain is cool, for sort of glorifying the kind of stuff you're talking about. And I was wondering how you, as a writer, as an artist, how you talk about struggle, hard times, without appearing to make it sound glamorous.
I think it's just being honest. I think if you feel people's pain and you know what struggle and hard time is, and you paint a picture, it's just you giving what you feel. Like, you know what I mean? Because if you haven't been through pain, it's hard to feel pain. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or when you understand pain, it's easier for you to identify without glorifying. To say, hey, we've been through this pain, but we know from being through this pain that it's not cool. I think a lot of things with music, people misunderstand what a gangster is or what a street person is. And I think they think people glorify things that they actually do glorify, but they're still horrified by it. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. There's no way, and I can tell you from experience, there's no way, when you get to a point of when you learn to accept pain or become consciously aware of that you're risking freedom and all the things you're going, it's a fucked up state of mind of being. When you don't know, it's different. Like, you understand? Because when you first get into something, that's within any dirt. That's not even just the streets. That's just dirt, period. Like, what you just doing dirt. If you do dirt and you're not knowledgeable of what you're doing, like, you know what I'm saying? Let's say you got a girlfriend and you talk to her like shit every day, but you're not knowledgeable that you're talking all like shit, and that you're making her feel small and lose her self-esteem and her confidence. It's different than when you know, all right, I'm talking to this woman like shit. She has no self-esteem, low confidence, and I know this is gonna hurt her. It's different, like, you know what I'm saying? And then when you within yourself, you feel like this is not the right thing to do. So there's a lot of people outside who knows this is not the right thing to do, but if this is what I gotta do, I'm gonna do it and be good at it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because this is just what I do. But I think when you come to a pain, I think that's why I know how to express pain without so much glorifying it, because I know the person who's really in the pain doesn't want to glorify it neither. But some people don't know better on the position in where that's the life they live, and you know, and it is what it is sometimes.
Yeah. You had that great line on I'm a G about, you know, you feel someone's pain but they don't feel yours.
Yeah.
And that really struck me. Why do you think that is? Do you feel like you're good at getting inside people's heads and maybe you don't feel that reciprocated?
I've been there, so I know what it's like for a person on a dude outside to feel he doesn't know where he's gonna turn, what he's gonna do. You know, that he doesn't want to do this. I've been a kid who's actually sold drugs and worked a real legal job at the same time, just from the urge of wanting more and feeling like I have no options but to do this because I don't have any other lanes that's open to me where I could say, here, in 5 years, you know, I got this plan, I'm going to do this, or I have a plan. Because when you don't have a goal or you don't have a plan, which a lot of people don't, in bad situations, whether you're a minority or not, you're just poor. Because I think the new minority is poor. Me personally, like, you know what I mean? You could be racist if you want, but if you're poor, you're in the same boat as other poor people. If you're rich, you could be racist if you want, but you still could do what other rich people could do, no matter who's around you, who's racist or what, and they have to accept it. So both sides of the spectrum is like where you fit in and what you could do. So you start to get an understanding of people more, like of people. Like I live where there's nothing but rich people. All my neighbors are rich. If not, they're successful. There's nobody poor around me. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I see the difference between rich and poor people. Like, you understand what I'm saying? I see what makes rich people happy, what makes poor people happy. I see that poor people lack finances. I see that rich people lack soul. Like, you know what I mean? And so when you start to understand that about society in general and of different things, like people don't know there's white boys who grew up on nothing but hip hop their whole life. So everything they feel is hip hop related. So you might be looking at them and thinking, hey, that's a white kid, he lives upstate. I used to live upstate in Cortland Manor. Like, and this kid would know more about any fucking rapper you name than anybody you could pull in the hood that was outside and selling crack, selling drugs, or the urban corner in a population where it's all black. I could have showed you a white boy from upstate who could have told you anybody's line from any song dating years, like, you know what I'm saying? So he's lived off of hip hop. And his parents might not understand him. He has his own tormented life of his own, which you don't think. So you become to understand as you become older, and I think as you're an artist and you get to go more places and meet more people, you start understanding people a little better. And then you know that you never know shit. Like, the biggest thing is I know nothing. But I could just try to see things and try to understand them and feel people and feel different things and understand different things.
That's awesome. Specifically about your art, one of the things that makes you different than a lot of people, to me, is the duets. Is you do the duet verse thing really well, obviously with Jada.
Yeah.
But also, you know, I've heard great ones with, you know, Beanie and Fab and, you know, a ton of people. What about that form appeals to you? You know what I mean? Why do you stand out there?
Respect of the craft. Like, respect of the craft. Like, you know what I mean? I think what people don't know is no matter where you're from or what your education is, to be an MC, you have to be somewhat of a genius. Somewhat of a genius, because for you to sound intelligent put words together, flow, give your soul, and have people feel it at the same time. It's a difficult task. It sounds simple and it sounds cool and it sounds just easy, but it's a difficult task. So when you get to a point of understanding, hey,